the day I decide to record. Seriously? For the length of this video, we're gonna ignore the noise outside and we're just gonna press on and continue and talk about reading. You see, many of us try to read more, and some of us haven't even picked up a book since high school. And because the world that we live in, or the time that we live in right now, is full of distractions, and there is always something either to do or something more exciting that takes our attention. We get annoyed when people talk about how life-changing reading is, and even though we know that reading is important and it's not maybe as fun as scrolling on social media, but it gives you a sense of purpose, it gives you more knowledge, it increases your capacity of knowing how other people live their lives that are outside of your own experience, yet we don't seem to find the time or the energy for it. The problem is not you and it's not me, and it's the noise outside that is. But all jokes aside, the problem is actually how we approach reading. And once we fix that, we will find ourselves reading a lot more. Maybe not 50 or 100 books a year, but way more than what we are reading today. Hi friends, my name is Mohammed and I'm a writer based in New York City with an MFA in creative writing. And this channel is all about helping writers build consistent habits, improve their craft, and find inspiration to tell their unique stories. And in this video, I want to talk about 5 tips or 5 things that will make writing addictive. It takes time, but we have to change our approach and then build our stamina slowly, just like a physical muscle. So the first step is to stop forcing yourself to read books that you do not enjoy. And this comes differently for many of us. Some of us love self-help books because they make us feel productive. They give us tips and strategies to make use of our time. And for some reason, for the past 10 years, those have been very, very popular, even with people that don't consider themselves as readers. But other people enjoy fiction more. They enjoy storytelling and getting to know cultures and places that they've never visited or experienced before, as opposed to listening or reading the instructional non-fiction books that tells you what to do and how to run your life. And regardless of what sort of person you are, the activity is still the same. Pick the genre, the type of books that you enjoy the most, and start with those. Later on, you can challenge yourself by reading outside your comfort zone, but in the very beginning, start with the least resistance type of books that will allow you to build the habit first. And if you don't know what sort of books that you are into, then start by reading anything. Judge a book by its cover and pick a book and read not all of it until you finish it, then decide whether you like it or not, but read the first maybe 20, 40 or 70 pages if you are generous. And if you still find it exciting and it calls you back the next day for it to be read, then continue to read it. If it doesn't and you find it boring, then move to something else. There are millions of books out there that are waiting to be read, and with all interest that we have, and anybody can find their books or their sort of books. You just have to read as much as possible until you find the sort of book that you enjoy. The famous quote by Naval Ravikant is, "Read what you love until you love reading." And once you get to the stage of loving the reading, the activity for itself, then trust me, you can pick up any book that you want, any book that someone recommends, any book that you think is even remotely interesting, and you will be able to go through it and gain the most out of it. You just have to start slow by building that muscle, change your approach from this is a chore that I have to get done to what is it that I want to learn about more, or what is it that I enjoy more, what type of books that communicates or that talks to my experience, identity, or whatever the case might be, so that you can then get a foot in the door to the habit, and then you can build on it later. Which moves me to the second tip, which is choose books that are interesting to you but are also on your reading level. If you haven't read a book since high school, don't start by reading Tolstoy or by reading a very complicated economics book. That will deter you from the habit itself, because what you want to do is build that reward mechanism by building or reading stuff that you can finish. And this is why I encourage a lot of people who wants to get back to the habit of reading to start with fiction. Fiction is very, very easy to read. It's meant for laymen, for the lack of a better word. It's meant for people who don't read as much because they are focused on storytelling. There is a lot of thinking when it comes from the writer's perspective on what is the experience of the reader and how can you put them in the dream state while they are reading without losing them as for as long as possible. But for nonfiction books or books that are self-help or whatever the case might be, what they focus on mostly is the structure of the book and how can they pack as much lessons as possible into the book so that the reader can take those lessons and apply them in their own life. But maybe you find fiction boring and you don't want to start there and you want to just go straight into nonfiction. Then pick books that are more modern, more for the beginner's mindset when it comes to the topic that you are trying to learn more about. For example, when it comes to nonfiction, if I'm interested in the African American experience and racism in the United States, I will not start with W.E. Du Bois because he is not only not from my time or I didn't live the experience that he lived, but also he is a more complicated writer. I will start maybe with either James Baldwin or Ta-Nehisi Coates. Just getting the context and the language and the pace of these writers, W.E. Du Bois will be an easier writer than to understand. But if you have a historical background of the African American experience and racism in the United States, W.E. Du Bois would not be too complicated to read. But then if you lack context, then you want to start slow, or you want to start from what you know first, then walk backward. When it comes to fiction, I will not start with the classics, especially Russian writers where the books were translations like Tolstoy, like Chekhov, or anybody else from that era. I will start from, you know, a book that is in the New York Times bestseller and that has a topic that's interesting to me. Start there, and then I can work myself to the more complicated books. And if you want to go for the most complicated book to read in fiction, then read Finnegan's Wake by James Joyce. I took a whole class on it and it was a torture of a class. But maybe that's a goal that you want to have in the next 5-10 years. The third tip is to build reading in your already daily schedule. Don't try to carve a time that is inconvenient for you. Build the habit into something that you already do. Maybe it's something that you do while you are in your commute to work or to school, or the 10 minutes, 30 minutes before bed. Something that you already do at a routine daily basis. Just build it within that activity so that it can feel easier. It can be just part of the flow of your day and not something that you have to work very, very hard for to disturb your already existing schedule. And I think this is part of living in this modern world where our attention is constantly being robbed from us, from our social media, the apps on our phones, even the music that we listen to. We're just on all the time. We just asked to be on and on. And we don't get a moment to ourselves and forget self-reflection of thinking about the day and what we are doing, what we are not doing, how we want to become a better person. Forget even that complicated part of life. Even doing an activity as easy as slowing the day down by reading. It's hard. So while you are thinking about how you can connect reading activity into an already existing activity or habit that you are doing during the day, also think about what is the easiest form for you right now. Is it listening to the book while you are washing dishes? Is it reading the PDF because you don't want to carry the physical book? Just seek the easiest route, especially in the beginning, and then you can challenge yourself and make it harder later. The tip number 4 is tricking your brain into the dopamine effect. We are a reward-seeking creatures. This is built within our psyche. This is who we are as human beings. We can't change it. And so building that reading habit into what we already know about ourselves will make us crave reading even more. I'm thinking about writing because I should be writing more. So if you read every day for 10 minutes or 10 pages a day, then have a checkbox that you check on a paper, on your to-do list, on whatever thing that you put down your checklist on. Check it out. That will give you a reward mechanism. If you finish a book after even a month or 2 months, then reward yourself by treating yourself to a meal or to a movie or to visiting a friend or even posting it on social media. If you do that, then your brain will build a cycle of craving for that activity over and over again, and then you can sustain it over time. And tip number 5 is the always have a book rule. No matter what you are doing, regardless where you are going, always have a book in hand. Again, this can be a audio, PDF, or physical book that you have. And think about reading as something that you want to fill the dead time that you have in your day while you are waiting for the train coming to go to work, or you are standing in line in the supermarket, you are waiting for the bus. Whenever you have a dead time, even sometimes during your lunch hour at work or after you have lunch, fill that dead time and a set of conversations and gossip and all the things that we do as workers or modern workers, fill it with reading. even if it is 10 minutes of those 30 minutes to 1 hour. Part of it is way better than none of it. I remember when after college, when I started working full time, I used to have lunch for about maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and then I would dedicate 40 minutes or 30 minutes to reading. And during that time, I would literally read a book every 3 days, because I would read maybe 20 pages on my way to work during my commute, and then maybe 10 to 15 pages during my lunch hour, and then another 20 to 30 pages on my way back. And I will complete books in 30-day spans, 1 week at most. And it was the time period that I read the most. And I don't do that anymore. I'm a lot busier. I have a daughter. Sometimes in the train, because I didn't have a good night's sleep, I'm like sleeping, which is something that I never used to do, and I'm embarrassed to share. But the point that I'm trying to make, whatever life situation or age or family setup that you have right now is gonna dictate how much you read. But in the very beginning, again and again, start slow, start at the minimum, even maybe below what you think you can achieve, so that you can sustain first the habit, then you can build on later. That's it for this video, and if you enjoyed it, then you will surely enjoy my video on the books that helped me get back to reading after a period where I stopped reading, right here. And if you are interested in knowing what I'm reading, stuff that I'm writing about, or the things that I experience in my life and I see online, then sign up to my newsletter, the link below. In the meantime, thank you for watching and happy reading.